Do you want to witness how a modern girl reverses her fate in a fantasy world? Follow Vivienne Ravenswood's journey as she not only travels through time and space, but also unexpectedly becomes the heir to a medieval nobility. But when intrigue and magic are intertwined, how does she skillfully avoid the fate of becoming a villainess and find true love in the royal court? Chapter 1. It seems I have died. Vivienne, a man with long black hair and dark eyes, cheerfully shook a cute teddy bear. His pale complexion emphasized the dark circles under his eyes. A horrified cry escaped Vivienne's lips upon witnessing her father's sickly appearance. "Oh no, don't cry, sweetheart. It's your papa." Despite his best efforts, the man's feeble attempt at a smile was marred by his menacingly sharp teeth, intensifying the unease he evoked. "Is this truly my father? Why does he appear so gravely ill?" Vivienne endeavored to steady her racing heart, while her father earnestly tried to elicit a smile from her. "Honey, it's time for you to rest. Our daughter is scared by how sick you look," a woman with fiery red hair and eyes said, appearing behind her husband. If her husband already appeared utterly depleted, she seemed on the verge of exhaustion herself. The dark bags under her eyes surpassed her husband's. Her complexion had grown ghastly pale. "Vivienne, my dear, you must be hungry. Mama has brought you some nourishing milk." The sight of her mother only served to renew Vivienne's tearful outburst. "Arggg. My mom looks even more terrifying. It's like my parents could be the villains in an isekai novel. Does that mean I'm destined to be the future villainess?" Vivienne's eyes were already puffy from crying so much. "Duke and Duchess Ravenswood, I strongly advise that you retire to your chambers. Vivienne, your daughter, desires to witness her parents rejuvenated. Kindly permit our devoted servants to care for the young miss while you both indulge in much-needed rest." The butler interjected with a soothing tone, exuding concern and reassurance. Reluctantly, the two parents left the bassinet while the butler began instructing the maids on caring for the entire family. With everyone occupied, Vivienne found herself alone, finally able to contemplate her predicament. Time to gather my thoughts and make sense of this new reality. Firstly, when I think back to my old life, I realize I died because I didn't eat enough. I was so tired that day that I didn't even bother getting food delivered. Honestly, I don't feel connected to that old life. I grew up in a big family with parents who didn't pay much attention to me, and I had siblings who always wanted the spotlight. I decided to live on my own when I turned 18, but I didn't take care of myself properly, and that's why I died when I was 22. But thinking about the past won't help me in this new life. I need to let go and focus on what's happening now. Secondly, I find myself transmigrated into a medieval fantasy world, similar to the stories I used to enjoy. But here's the problem: I don't know which specific story I'm in. You see, I have a habit of giving up on books early if I don't like them. So I don't remember the details well. The characters and plots all start to blend together. It's frustrating because I don't have a great memory like others who have been transported into stories. But I'll have to rely on familiar patterns, cliched events, and predictable storylines to survive in this new world. Thirdly, considering how my parents look, there's a chance I might end up as the villainess in this story, as I seem to have inherited their intimidating appearance, which could lead to my own downfall. However, as long as I avoid being mean to the female lead and resist falling in love with the male lead, I should be able to live a pleasant life. Fourthly, it's essential to determine if I possess any magical abilities or if there's a gaming system at play here. Let's see. Status window. Error, nothing happened. It seems this world doesn't operate on a gaming system. As for magic. Vivienne struggled to lift her head, attempting to survey her surroundings, but her limited motor skills as a baby presented a significant obstacle. Well, it's not as if I have a 1-year deadline for this transmigration. I have plenty of time before the story unfolds. I'll take it easy, observing my daily life and hoping to unravel the book one landed in, at least enough to ensure my survival. Vivienne began to relax a bit, gradually drifting off to sleep. 5 years later. It's been 5 years, and I still haven't figured out the story I'm stuck in. I've given up hope of remembering anything and resigned myself to relying on the familiar tropes and predictable plotlines in this world. But at least the past 5 years haven't been wasted. Vivienne clutched a pen and began to jot down her name, scribbling some notes to organize her thoughts regarding what she had learned. Vivienne Ravenswood. Although my handwriting may be messy, I discovered this is my full name. My father holds the title of Duke, as the Ravenswoods are a prestigious family that played a crucial role in establishing this country. In the past, the Ravenswoods were involved in warfare, but now that the nation is in a state of peace, my dad's responsibilities primarily revolve around paperwork and handling the aftermath of the emperor's decisions. My mom is occasionally called upon to assist, although she tries to evade such tasks. Another realization I have come to accept is the absence of magic in this realm, which is disappointing. Instead, horses have become my steadfast companions, serving as the swiftest means of transportation. Books, music, and opera have become my sources of entertainment, and newspapers have emerged as the most reliable source of information. During my time here, I've discovered that the place I live is called Solterra. Towards the north, there are towering mountains with snowy peaks that seem to touch the sky. On the other hand, in the south, there's a breathtaking coastline adorned with sandy beaches where gentle waves sway. If you venture east, you'll stumble upon a vibrant rainforest brimming with life. And to the west, there lies a vast desert with endless shimmering sand dunes. At the heart of Solterra rests a bustling capital city, blessed with a pleasant and inviting climate, a wonderful aspect of this fantastical world. I hope to explore the whole region of Solterra someday once I navigate past the challenges that await me in the story. Right now, I'm in the central part of Solterra, which isn't surprising. It means there's a high chance of meeting the main character soon when I leave the comfort of my home. So for now, I'm happy being locked inside my beautiful mansion. Being the daughter of a duke has its perks, and I'm enjoying them to the fullest. Vivienne stands before the mirror nestled in the corner of the room, casting her gaze upon her reflection. She takes in the sight of her black hair and red eyes. Just as I expected. This appearance screams villainous. Her attention then shifts to her 3-year-old younger brother who happily drinks his milk by her side. The siblings find themselves in the living room, with Vivienne scattering her toys around while her brother sits contentedly beside her, savoring his drink. I have affectionate parents and an adorable younger brother. Something is bound to go wrong. Eventually, Vivienne warily surveys her surroundings. If I am truly destined to become the villainess, a tragedy must be in store. And my younger brother, with his black hair, black eyes like our father, and the name Leopold, so typical and dashing, he's the epitome of a male lead character. Proudly, Vivienne looks at her younger brother. As Leopold notices her gaze, he pauses mid-sip, tilting his head to meet her gaze. The sight of his cute expression widens Vivienne's smile even further. "My children are adorable," their mother exclaimed, opening the door to the living room. I remember my mom's once pale complexion, but now that she's well rested, I believe she's the most beautiful mom in the world. Vivienne's confidence soared. "Mom, where's Dad?" Vivienne leaped up excitedly, momentarily forgetting about the mirror. "Dad is occupied with some important matters," their mother replied. "Also, kids, we have a special guest here today." Her tone lacked enthusiasm and hinted at a touch of worry, which was unusual. As Vivienne's eyes fell upon the scene, a young boy, approximately 8 years old, cautiously peeked out from behind their mother. The sight that unfolded before her eyes filled her with an overwhelming sense of horror, causing her to gasp in disbelief. His golden hair and eyes indicate that he may belong to the royal family, possibly as the crown prince or a legitimate son. He fits the profile of either the main or secondary male lead. Typically, the crown prince and the villainess have a strained relationship for 2 main reasons. Firstly, driven by jealousy, the villainess harms the crown prince's lover, leading to her execution by his hand. Secondly, the villainess's family plots to overthrow the royal family in pursuit of power, ultimately resulting in her execution at the hands of the crown prince. In summary, it appears that this individual will eventually be the one to execute me. Hence, my strategy is simple: treat him kindly and avoid developing romantic feelings. Although it may sound simple, I must remain vigilant and resilient to confront future challenges. "Duchess, His Majesty the Emperor requests your presence," the butler announced, causing their mother to sigh. If the king is here, then my earlier assumption was correct. That boy must indeed be the crown prince, Vivienne deduced, her suspicions confirmed. "Vivienne, I trust you to take care of our guest. I'll be back soon." Their mother quickly bestowed a tender forehead kiss upon her 2 children before making her exit, leaving the 3 of them under the watchful eyes of the maids. Vivienne gathered herself and attempted to appear composed, as much as a 5-year-old could. Greetings, Your Highness. My name is Vivienne Ravenswood, and it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Vivienne curtsied, offering a polite greeting. Leopold attempted to mimic Vivienne's gesture but stumbled over his words. Greetings, Your Highness. My name is Leopold Ravenswood. It's a pleasure to meet you. Leopold managed to stammer. With an air of annoyance, the crown prince retorted, Apollo Valorborn. The room fell silent with everyone unsure of what to say next. Vivienne, determined to be a dutiful daughter, broke the silence. Would you like to play with dolls? Vivienne asked politely, trying to extend an olive branch. Dolls are dumb, the crown prince dismissively responded, causing Vivienne to flinch slightly. However, she consciously tried to remain calm, determined to take the higher road. Meanwhile, Leopold glared at Apollo, defending his sister's interests. The other people in the room were caught in a dilemma between wanting to stand up for Vivienne and the limitations imposed by the prince's status. Just as one of the maids was about to step forward, Vivienne discreetly signaled them to stay back, understanding that offending the prince could have severe consequences for her family. She cherished the peaceful life she currently enjoyed. Then let's build a castle with blocks, Vivienne suggested, undeterred. I already live in a castle. Why do I need to build one? Apollo retorted. How about cooking together? Vivienne offered. Cooking is a task that a servant can perform, the prince replied, uninterested. Do you have a favorite book? Vivienne continued to make an effort. I don't like reading, Apollo dismissed. Then, let's have a tea party, Vivienne proposed, increasingly frustrated. Boring, the prince declared. Vivienne's patience wore thin. The same could be said for Leopold. Their hopes for a friendly interaction were rapidly diminishing. I'm back, the Duchess returned just in time to prevent a potential conflict. However, her quick return didn't mend the strained relationship between the children. The prince sensed an intense, hostile energy emanating from the two black-haired children, who were no longer concealing their annoyance. Fear gripped him, and he desperately wished to escape from the situation. I want to go home. This place is boring, the prince erupted into a tantrum, catching the Duchess off guard. Hastily, she scooped up Apollo, attempting to soothe him as she hurriedly exited the room. Vivienne and Leopold stood in stunned silence, taken aback by the abrupt shift in events. Will he really become the future king? My attempts to be kind to the crown prince seem futile. I can already envision the hardships that lie ahead. I can't see myself falling in love with that troublesome individual anytime soon, Vivienne thought to herself, firm in her resolve. Would anyone like some cookies? After witnessing the prince's tantrum, the father entered the room to check on the children, seeking to uplift their spirits. The father's offer brought a wave of happiness to the kids, causing them to forget about the earlier incident completely. Dad is amazing, Vivienne praised her father as he distributed the cookies, appreciating his presence and kindness. The compliment brought a radiant smile to the Duke's face. Vivienne couldn't help but notice how much healthier and happier her father looked compared to the first time he smiled at her. His smile was captivating, capable of enchanting anyone who laid eyes upon it. Dad is amazing, Leopold echoed his sister's sentiment while happily devouring his cookies. The children's father couldn't contain his joy and began showering praise upon his wonderful children. From that day onwards, the royal family didn't visit the Ravenswood family, leading to a peaceful period. However, the tranquility was abruptly shattered when Vivienne, at 20, received a summons to the royal palace. Chapter 2. 15 years later. What Vivienne's outburst at the dining table echoed throughout the entire mansion, capturing everyone's attention. The emperor has summoned you to the palace, her father repeated, his expression reflecting his dissatisfaction with delivering such news. But why? Vivienne inquired, her mind searching for a plausible reason. I'll go with you, big sis, Leopold offered, concern etched on his face. Leopold, His Majesty only requested Vivienne's presence. You are not allowed to accompany your sister, her father sighed, gently explaining the situation to his son. Leopold's face fell, sulking in disappointment. Meanwhile, Vivienne's mind raced with thoughts. I've been living a peaceful life at home for the past 15 years, hiding away from the world. But now it seems the story is about to unfold. I used to worry about my coming-of-age ceremony, but then I realized I'm not the main character in this tale. Usually they only focus on the main character's ceremony and stories. To avoid any attention, I asked my parents not to make a big fuss about my coming-of-age event, so I could blend in with the other girls at the party. I haven't even met the potential female lead yet, maybe because they're too busy rebelling against their families. But why would the royal family be calling me? I haven't done anything remarkable to stand out. Vivienne. Yes, her mother's voice interrupted her deep contemplation. I'll accompany you and wait outside the royal palace. If something happens, you can quickly escape and we'll return home together, her father offered his support. It's all right, Dad. As the daughter of Duke Ravenswood, I carry the protection and respect that comes with our noble name. No one would dare lay a hand on me. Plus, all those sword lessons I took will finally come in handy, Vivienne reassured her father with a confident smile. Despite their worries, Vivienne's parents understood the dangers of defying the royal family. After dinner, Vivienne retreated to her room and began jotting down potential cliched plotlines that she needed to be cautious of. Currently, I'm still not regarded as the evil villainess, so I believe I'm safe for now. However, if the Emperor summons me to the palace, there's a possibility that he wants me to be engaged to the Crown Prince. This path is incredibly daunting, as the Crown Prince would resent being forced into a loveless marriage. Once the Crown Prince harbors animosity towards me, he would stop at nothing to paint me as the villainess in his story. Another potential scenario is that the Emperor intends to manipulate me for his own purposes or the interests of others. I lack the strategic prowess of the protagonists in most stories, so I suppose I'll have to navigate these situations as they come. Neither of these scenarios sounds appealing in the least. Regardless of the reason, I have the determination to survive. Since I'm now part of a story, the power of my determination will guide me to a happy ending. I've grown to cherish my current life so much that I refuse to let it end, just because I'm afraid to enter the palace. I can do this, Vivienne mentally prepared herself, unaware that her blissful life was about to be engulfed in chaos. Next day. I think I understand now why the prince didn't want to build a castle with me in the past. Vivienne strained her neck, trying to catch a glimpse of the castle's towering tip. It was so tall that her neck grew tired from the effort. You must be Lady Vivienne Ravenswood. A well-dressed man approached her with a professional demeanor. Feeling nervous, Vivienne simply nodded in response. Greetings, Lady Ravenswood. I am Alfred Winchester, and I will be attending to you today. If you experience any discomfort, please inform me. Allow me to guide you to His Majesty. The Emperor. Vivienne nodded once again, and followed Alfred. The journey to meet the Emperor felt endless. Vivienne had always believed that her home was the most beautiful place, but upon entering the palace, everything paled in comparison. And to make things worse, the 30-minute walk from the palace's front door to the entrance of the Emperor's meeting room left Vivienne feeling as if she had been walking in a never-ending maze, even though the route was very straightforward. I never realized how massive the palace is. Why does the Emperor need such a grand residence? Couldn't he have a smaller one? They could even use a carriage to move around inside the palace. Upon reaching the Emperor's meeting room, Vivienne marveled at the intricate carvings adorning the enormous door. Please wait a moment, Lady Ravenswood. Alfred disappeared behind the door. Vivienne sighed with relief, grateful to have finally arrived. She couldn't wait to return home and indulge in a long, soothing bath to ease her aching legs. Is the Emperor a giant or something? This door is tall enough to stack 5 of me, and I don't think I could escape from here like my dad thinks. I'd either get lost or be too exhausted to go any further. Please enter, Lady Ravenswood. Alfred swung the door open wide, allowing Vivienne to enter with ease. Oh my goodness, do I still have to walk further? Was the hallway always this long in the story? Vivienne had expected to be greeted by the Emperor seated at a desk nearby, but instead, she was met with a long hallway, with the Emperor seated on a throne at the far end of the room. Whoever thought this was a practical design clearly didn't consider the discomfort it would cause. Strangely enough, I haven't broken a sweat yet. Perhaps in the realm of a storybook, sweating doesn't exist. It could be the author's way of sparing us from the inconvenience. That could be the reason why shower scenes are frequently used to portray the alluring and enticing moments of a handsome male lead in the presence of water. Vivienne internally complained, struggling to maintain a poker face as she approached the Emperor. Greetings, Your Majesty the Emperor. The first am Vivienne Ravenswood, the daughter of Duke Lysander Ravenswood. It is an honor to meet you. Vivienne curtsied, being careful not to lift her head too high. Thank you for accepting my invitation to meet with me, Lady Ravenswood. The Emperor's voice made Vivienne nervous, as this was their first conversation. What can I do for Your Majesty? Vivienne got straight to the point, hoping to spend as little time in this place as possible. You are just like your father, not fond of small talk. I command you to become my son's secretary, the Emperor declared. Vivienne breathed a sigh of relief. Phew. Not a fiancé route, but her relief quickly turned to concern as she knelt down upon understanding the Emperor's words. This honor is too great for me. I have heard that the Crown Prince already has a capable secretary by his side. I don't believe I have the ability to assist the Crown Prince. Vivienne tried to reject the offer without offending the Emperor. Lady Ravenswood, it seems there has been a misunderstanding. I did not merely suggest it. I am ordering you to become my son's secretary. I have faith in your abilities, and I want you to start your duties immediately. The Emperor remarked, his gaze filled with amusement as he observed Vivienne's petite stature. Surprised by the Emperor's unexpected enthusiasm, Vivienne mustered the courage to ask, "May I know the reason behind your eagerness to have me as your son's secretary? Surely there are others more capable and eager for the position." The Emperor's expression softened and he leaned forward. "I desire for my son to ascend the throne, but given his current capabilities, I cannot entrust him with the crown. I cannot risk exposing his unpreparedness. Considering the long-standing loyalty the Ravenswood family has shown to the royal lineage, I trust that the daughter of the Ravenswood family will assist and keep this matter a secret." "Ah, I see. So basically, you're embarrassed by your own son's current behavior and you believe that entrusting me, a member of the Ravenswood family known for their tight-lipped nature and disciplined demeanor, will not only shape him into a more capable individual but also prevent any rumors about his incompetence from spreading." Got it. Vivienne mused silently, suppressing a smile. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for bestowing upon me this esteemed position. I shall commence my duties promptly and make my acquaintance with the Crown Prince. Your wisdom and discernment are truly commendable. It has been a great honor and privilege to be in your presence." Vivienne expressed with gratitude and respect. "Very well. Given your enthusiasm to serve my son, a servant will promptly inform him and your family of the situation. We shall make arrangements to ensure your needs are attended to during your stay here. You are now dismissed," the Emperor said, eagerly signaling the end of their conversation with Vivienne. Vivienne curtsied gracefully before turning away. As she stole a quick glance at the Emperor, she couldn't help but notice the resemblance between his golden hair and eyes, mirroring that of his son. Like father, like son. Always causing trouble for others, Vivienne thought to herself as Alfred guided her out of the room. It appears that my peaceful life has come to an end. I find myself stepping into the first chapter of a novel now. Lady Ravenswood, the Crown Prince is currently in his workroom. Please follow me this way, Alfred informed her. I must advise you that the Crown Prince hasn't been feeling well, so please understand his situation. So basically the prince is throwing a tantrum right now, Vivienne thought to herself. What could be the cause of his tantrum? The female lead, that's a possibility. Or is it a rivalry? But the Crown Prince is the only son, and his younger sister doesn't seem interested in the crown. Well, I'll need to be cautious in my actions and try to assess the situation. Also, why is this palace so enormous? How much more walking do I have to endure? I could feel my legs trembling with fear of the long distance ahead. After 30 minutes of walking, we have arrived at the Crown Prince's workroom, Lady Ravenswood, Alfred announced. While Alfred appeared perfectly composed, Vivienne looked visibly exhausted, leaning against the wall for support. Thank you, Vivienne managed to say between breaths, her expression weary. I think I should request someone to invent roller skates. Alternatively, I could work on improving my stamina, Vivienne thought to herself as she tried to compose herself and appear presentable. Alfred was about to knock on the door when it suddenly swung open, causing a flurry of papers to burst out and cover his face. He let out a refined cough to dislodge the paper, maintaining an unruffled demeanor despite the chaotic scene before him. I don't want to do this. Your Highness, it is your duty. No, I need to find her. But Your Highness, we have urgent matters. I command you to find her now. I am not looking forward to working under that crown prince, Vivienne thought, feeling her spirits plummet. Chapter 3. As expected of a prince in an isekai novel, he's incredibly good-looking. It's a shame his personality doesn't match his appearance. When he was younger, I wasn't sure if he'd be the main male lead, but now I'm certain. I'll bet my life on it. My focus now is to avoid developing feelings for him and be kind to his love interest, Vivienne thought to herself as she watched Alfred tidy up the area. She then straightened herself and addressed the man before her with a polite curtsy, maintaining her composure despite her previous thoughts. Greetings, Your Highness, Crown Prince. I am Vivienne Ravenswood, the daughter of Duke Lysander Ravenswood. It is an honor to have the opportunity to work alongside you, she introduced herself, projecting an air of confidence and grace that hid any trace of her earlier skepticism. The Crown Prince responded with a short, uninterested answer. There was a brief silence as everyone stood, unsure of what to do next. Vivienne discreetly signaled to Alfred for assistance, but before he could respond, someone else interjected. Greetings, Lady Ravenswood. I am Milo Cresswell, the fourth son of Marquis Cresswell and currently His Majesty, the Crown Prince's first secretary. You will be working as his second secretary, a man with brown hair and green eyes introduced himself. Oh wow, a male character with brown hair. I can't help but feel sorry for him. The female lead wouldn't even spare him a glance, even though he looks quite handsome despite his exhausted appearance. Poor guy, stuck with brown hair, Vivienne thought when she saw Milo. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lord Cresswell. I look forward to working with you and hope to be of great assistance, Vivienne said, trying to sound optimistic. Without warning, the Crown Prince tossed a piece of paper at Vivienne and abruptly left the room. Vivienne could feel her temper rising, but she managed to stay calm and glanced at the paper. Name Ava Silverwood. Hair color pink. Eye color blue. Vivienne read the contents of the paper. Must be the female lead. Wait, is this all the information I'm given to find a person? This is the behavior of an unreasonable boss. No wonder Sir Milo is struggling to find her. There isn't even a picture. Ava could simply dye her hair brown and disappear into the crowd provided she's cunning enough. And let's not forget her handy plot armor that ensures nobody finds her anytime soon until something dramatic happens, she thought to herself, feeling a sense of frustration at the lack of details provided. Sir Cresswell, I entrust Lady Ravenswood to your care, Alfred stated as he left the room, leaving Milo and Vivienne alone. Lady Ravenswood, before we proceed, we will need you to review and sign an employment contract. Please take your time reading it carefully, and let me know if there are any parts that you do not understand, Milo explained, handing over a stack of papers to Vivienne. As Vivienne skimmed through the contract, she discovered that it outlined various guidelines for employees of the royal family. She quickly noticed her work hours from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and her schedule of 6 working days per week, with Wednesdays as her designated day off. Though she found the working hours demanding, she realized that it was to be expected considering the nature of her position as the Crown Prince's secretary. Her attention then turned to the perks and benefits included in the contract. Vivienne discovered that she would receive complimentary meals during her stay in the palace, with the option to have them delivered to her room. Additionally, she would be provided with a free room exempt from rental fees and be assigned a personal maid. Moreover, the salary offered was quite substantial. Vivienne started to realize that these services and compensation helped balance the demanding nature of the job. Feeling more optimistic about the contract, Vivienne proceeded to sign the papers. Milo's expression brightened, relieved to have found another helping hand for the royal staff. If you have any questions, Lady Ravenswood, feel free to ask, Milo said, offering a professional smile, though Vivienne could tell that he was in dire need of rest. Sir Cresswell, I hope you don't mind me asking, but when was the last time you had a proper, restful sleep? Vivienne inquired sincerely. Milo let out a heavy sigh, his eyes reflecting a longing for the memory of a peaceful slumber. I haven't experienced a good night's sleep since His Highness became determined to locate Lady Silverwood a month ago, Milo lamented. Lady Silverwood? Have you ever met her before? His Highness wants me to find her, but I've never seen her. I would greatly appreciate any additional details about her appearance, Vivienne asked, giving the paper she received to Milo. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to see her either, Milo replied. In that case, how did His Highness come across Lady Silverwood? Vivienne inquired. His Highness only mentioned meeting her one night and became captivated by her. However, by the time he discovered her true identity, she had already fled from her home. I believe that happened 3 years ago. But then, just last month, he encountered her again, and now he is determined to pursue her so as not to lose her once more, Milo explained. Is there any portrait of Lady Silverwood in her family's residence? Vivienne inquired, hoping to find some clue. No, there were no pictures of Lady Silverwood in the house. His Highness suspects that she may have been subjected to mistreatment, Milo explained. May I inquire about the location of her residence? Then Vivienne asked, hoping for more information. Milo hesitated for a moment, causing Vivienne to feel uneasy. His Highness burned down the entire mansion and executed her family, accusing them of mistreating the future crown princess, Milo finally answered. Vivienne was left speechless, shocked by the extreme actions taken. Is he out of his mind? What was he thinking? He's making my task even more difficult before I can even begin. So he's the bloodthirsty, unreasonable, and arrogant male lead. Vivienne's frustration grew more intense with each passing moment. I suppose I'll have to eventually locate the female lead to somehow tame him or bring him to reason. Lady Vivienne, for the time being, I would like you to focus on examining these accounting books to ensure the accuracy of the numbers, Milo stated, handing over a stack of books. This should serve as a relatively easy and reasonable first task. Are you certain that's all I need to do right now? I feel like finding Lady Silverwood is of utmost importance, Vivienne questioned. I will handle that matter for the time being. This task will help you familiarize yourself with His Highness's personality and gradually settle into your role as his secretary, Milo replied. Milo is truly considerate. Quite unlike someone else. Vivienne glanced pointedly at the door, her expression filled with displeasure. Your room should be ready by now. Allow me to guide you, Milo said, opening the door with a gentlemanly gesture that lightened Vivienne's heart. Thank you for your attentive care, she replied. Fortunately, the walk to her room was short, and Vivienne felt a sense of relief. She noticed that her room was conveniently located across from Milo's, with a mere 2-minute walk separating them from His Highness's workroom. All the necessary materials for your role as His Highness's secretary are already in your room. Let's continue our conversation tomorrow. Good night, Lady Ravenswood. Milo bid her good night before retiring to his own room. Good night, Sir Cresswell, Vivienne replied. As Vivienne entered her room, she was amazed to find all her personal belongings neatly organized. Her curiosity was cut short by a knock at the door. Opening it, she was greeted by a woman with black hair, brown eyes, and a maid outfit. Greetings, Lady Ravenswood. My name is Claire, and I will be your personal maid from today onwards, the maid introduced herself. It's a pleasure to meet you, Claire. I will be in your care, Vivienne replied politely. Vivienne quickly noticed that Claire was an exceptional maid. Whatever Vivienne requested, Claire responded with kindness and efficiency, instantly making Vivienne feel at home in her new room. Claire, please send this letter to my home. You may be dismissed for today, Vivienne instructed. I'll take care of it, Claire bowed and left through the door. Vivienne settled into her bed, relieved to have sent the reassuring letter to her family. The exhaustion from the eventful day washed over her, emphasizing the need for a good night's sleep. Tomorrow would bring more demands, she realized, and she needed to recharge. With that in mind, she closed her eyes, ready to embrace the solace of sleep and prepare for the challenges ahead. The next morning. I had a much better night's sleep than expected, and breakfast was delightful, Vivienne thought to herself as she made her way toward the Crown Prince's workroom. I'm ready for my first day of work. With anticipation, Vivienne opened the door and found Milo already engrossed in his tasks at his desk, while the Crown Prince's seat remained unoccupied. My eyes are blessed to see a beautiful sight on this early morning. Amidst the events of last night, I missed the chance to truly appreciate Sir Cresswell's handsome face. I wonder if he has that cliché effect of becoming even more attractive when a male character takes off their glasses, Vivienne thought to herself, stealing a glance at Milo. He was deeply engrossed in the papers, occasionally adjusting his glasses. Good morning, Sir Cresswell, Vivienne greeted him cheerfully. Good morning, Lady Ravenswood. Did you enjoy your breakfast? Milo replied. The breakfast was delightful. Thank you for asking. Did you have breakfast, Sir Cresswell? Yes, I did. Despite my tired appearance, I always make sure to have 3 meals a day. Vivienne found herself captivated by Milo's charming face, her mind briefly wandering. Maybe working here won't be so bad, she quietly admitted, acknowledging the rarity of finding a colleague as attractive and agreeable as him. I'll make an effort to impress you with my hard work, Sir Cresswell. If you encounter any difficulties, don't hesitate to let me know, Milo offered. Certainly I will, Vivienne replied eagerly. After a pleasant conversation with Milo, Vivienne momentarily forgot about her goal of surviving the novel. She felt a surge of energy and enthusiasm for her work. Throughout the day, she remained focused and productive, partly due to the delightful distraction of Milo's handsome presence. However, she couldn't help but notice that the Crown Prince's seat remained empty the entire time. Sir Cresswell, may I ask where the Crown Prince is? Vivienne inquired. He is attending to an important matter, Milo replied, but Vivienne sensed a hint of a scripted response in his words. I see, she muttered. Is the Crown Prince actively searching for the female lead? Or is he simply irresponsible and lazy? Vivienne wondered, feeling a twinge of sympathy for Milo, who seemed burdened with an increasing workload. Just as Vivienne was about to leave, the Crown Prince made an appearance, prompting Milo to spring out of his seat. Your Highness, please stamp these documents here, and here, Milo requested, handing the Crown Prince a stack of papers and a stamp. With a mere glance, the Crown Prince swiftly stamped the documents exactly where Milo indicated. Without uttering a word, he rose from his seat and departed, leaving Vivienne without the chance to offer a proper greeting. I'm finished for the day, Milo proudly declared, beginning to pack up. The puzzling scene left Vivienne feeling perplexed, but she decided not to dwell on it as it didn't directly affect her. Her current focus was completing the remaining stacks of accounting books so that she could assist Milo in lightening his workload. Chapter 4. Something seems off with the accounting book. The numbers aren't adding up correctly. I have a strong suspicion that there's corruption at play, Vivienne thought to herself, her eyes scanning the pages once again. Since yesterday, she had a nagging feeling that something was amiss, perhaps attributing it to being distracted by Milo's charming appearance. However, after carefully reviewing the book once more today, she was increasingly confident that there was indeed corruption occurring. Sir Cresswell, I would like to request your permission to conduct an investigation into potential embezzlement. What evidence do you have to support your suspicion of embezzlement? I have noticed some discrepancies in the financial records of Lord Vanderbilt. He has repeatedly requested funds to reconstruct a town in his territory, claiming wild animal attacks near the border heavily damaged it. However, upon reviewing the reports of the town's destruction, the damage seems to be minimal. I suspect that Lord Vanderbilt may have been embezzling a significant portion of the funds for personal gain. Additionally, the frequency of his requests raises suspicion of possible bribery. How else could he justify seeking funds multiple times for a relatively minor incident? Vivienne explained. Milo handed her a royal badge, saying, "Here is a badge that grants you authority to investigate further. Present it to Lord Vanderbilt, and he will be unable to impede your search of his residence. Furthermore, if my suspicions prove to be true, I would like to request additional investigations into other nobles," Vivienne added. You have my permission, but I must caution you that if your accusations turn out to be unfounded, I will have to revoke the badge and take appropriate action for false accusations, Milo warned. Do not worry, sir. As a member of the Ravenswood family, we are well versed in financial matters. I am confident that something is amiss behind the scenes, Vivienne replied confidently. Vivienne was granted the privilege of using the VIP carriage, a conveyance typically reserved for individuals deemed necessary by the royal family. Despite the prestigious mode of transportation and the authority it conveyed, Lord Vanderbilt still foolishly attempted to dissuade her from entering his residence. Vivienne, recognizing his utter lack of intelligence, mustered her most intimidating expression, causing Lord Vanderbilt to cower in fear to the point of involuntarily wetting his pants. After that, Vivienne wasted no time uncovering the evidence against Lord Vanderbilt. It turned out that he had been hiding the embezzled funds in his basement. With this significant breakthrough, Vivienne took it upon herself to deliver justice by bringing the corrupt officials to account. Over the course of a few weeks, she methodically pursued her mission, meticulously targeting the key figures behind the corruption scheme while remaining discerning in her actions. Despite Vivienne's noble intentions to restore misallocated funds, her actions were met with strong resistance and disdain from the majority of nobles. Many of them were complicit in the corruption and were determined to protect their own interests. False rumors began to circulate, painting Vivienne as a villainess who abused her power, imprisoned nobles, and plundered their wealth. However, these attempts by the nobles to tarnish Vivienne's reputation had little impact, as she enjoyed the unwavering support of her influential family. Nevertheless, the relentless spread of baseless rumors throughout the empire left Vivienne dumbfounded when she learned about her newfound reputation. I worked tirelessly to avoid being branded a villainess. I believed that by eliminating corrupt officials I would be met with joy and applause. I was naively optimistic, Vivienne thought to herself, feeling disheartened. Recognizing Vivienne's state of mind, Milo, who was working to quell the rumors, decided to lift her spirits as well. He felt it was the least he could do to support her, especially considering that she had successfully recovered the royal funds, which could be used for further developing the country and lightening his own load. Lady Ravenswood, a small bear, came into Vivienne's view. Milo stood before her, hugging the bear, which was roughly the size of his upper body. Vivienne looked up, curious. "Does this bear have a name?" she asked. "This is Sir Barry. I would usually punch this bear's stomach as a way to release my frustration. Since I, too, have taken on the role of a villain to make other nobles listen to me," Milo replied. "Wait, you being called a villain? I've never heard of such a thing." Vivienne was genuinely surprised to hear this information. "Well, I was labeled a villain because I supposedly abused my power as His Highness's secretary and ordered the nobles around as if they were servants. Truth be told, if they had done their work properly from the beginning, I wouldn't have resorted to employing threats to compel them to redo their tasks," Milo explained. "Have you tried correcting their perception?" Vivienne inquired. "No, I've realized that someone always sees me as a villain. You see, villains go against the hero's values and goals, causing obstacles and conflicts that the main characters have to overcome. From their point of view, they're the heroes, and since we hinder their progress, we become the villains. But we also have our own goals that not everyone agrees with. Some may think our ambitions are selfish because they don't directly benefit them. However, those who are close to us or benefit from our actions would consider us the heroes," Milo explained. As Vivienne absorbed Milo's perspective, she began to see the complexity of the concept of villains. It wasn't simply a matter of black and white, hero versus villain. There were different perspectives and interpretations at play. She realized that her own actions, aimed at exposing corruption and restoring justice, had inadvertently made her a villain in the eyes of those who benefited from the corrupt system. "I suppose being labeled a villain is subjective," Vivienne mused. "It depends on whose values and goals are being challenged. Perhaps we are all protagonists in our own stories and villains in others." Milo nodded in agreement. "Exactly. We each have our own motives and goals which can sometimes conflict with others. However, that doesn't automatically make us evil. We hold on to our principles because we believe they're the best, but we must remain open to the possibility that there might be even better principles out there. In the meantime, let's strive to do our best with what we have, even if it means being seen as villains." "Why does it feel like there's a misunderstanding? Sir Cresswell sees me as having noble principles, but I was only trying to impress him. I completely forgot that my main goal was to survive this situation." "Ugh, I got distracted by his appearance," Vivienne realized, refocusing on her objective. "Oh well, I just need to avoid being seen as a villainess by the main characters. The opinions of other people in this world are not as important. They can call me a villainess however they want, and I am willing to accept that label as long as the protagonist of the story approves of me. It is my own selfish desire to survive." Vivienne felt a renewed sense of determination. She understood that her actions had consequences and not everyone would appreciate or understand her intentions. However, she was resolved to continue fighting for justice and making a positive impact, regardless of the labels placed upon her. United by a shared sense of purpose, Vivienne and Milo developed a deep respect for one another and a genuine desire to provide mutual support in their individual endeavors. They understood that their actions might encounter opposition and disapproval. Nevertheless, they chose to rise above the label of villains and direct their energy towards shaping a brighter future, both for themselves and the people they were committed to protecting. A resounding bang abruptly shattered their fleeting moment of connection. The door swung open with force, courtesy of the crown prince, rudely interrupting their shared moment. "Have you found her yet?" His piercing gaze fixed on the two secretaries. "We haven't found her yet, Milo," the brave soul replied. The crown prince punched the door in frustration, causing Vivienne to flinch at the sight of the resulting hole and blood on his hand. She seized the opportunity and quickly fetched first aid supplies intended to his injured hand. Encountering such a terrifying display of anger in person is truly unnerving. If that had been directed at me, I might not have survived, Vivienne thought, trying to keep herself composed while caring for the crown prince. He really needs to work on managing his anger. I wonder if there are therapists in this world. I have no intention of becoming his therapist, though. I am not some Mary Sue who can do everything, and I value my own life that needs to be cherished. After attending to the wound, the crown prince grumbled and stormed out of the room. Sigh. "I'll call a repairman to fix the door," Milo sighed and left to find a repairman. "I feel like I'm taking care of a 5-year-old, Vivienne muttered, eyeing the door through which the crown prince had just exited. When Milo returned with the repairman, the man appeared unfazed by the damaged door, treating it as a routine matter. Within 5 minutes, the door was restored to its original state, leaving Vivienne amazed by how swiftly things were repaired in this world. "You've done an excellent job tending to His Highness's wound. It seems like you've grown more accustomed to his personality," Milo remarked, looking at Vivienne with satisfaction. "Thank you so much. I've found that if I imagine His Highness as a 5-year-old, everything becomes much easier to handle," Vivienne joked, eliciting a laugh from Milo, who wholeheartedly agreed that the crown prince sometimes displayed the mindset of a child. "Lady Ravenswood, you've done an excellent job with the account book. I have another task for you," Milo said, handing over some documents to Vivienne. As Vivienne glanced through the documents, she discovered that she had been given the responsibility of organizing a tournament. This event's purpose was to demonstrate the prowess of the royal knights and uncover hidden talents that could potentially emerge during the competition. "Sir Crestwell, you can trust me with this project. I am confident in my abilities," Vivienne replied assuredly. "Also, since we have grown closer, would it be all right if I address you as Sir Milo? I feel we have developed a level of familiarity." Vivienne asked, a hint of shyness in her voice. "Oh, of course, Lady Vivienne," Milo responded with a hint of surprise in his voice. However, he was pleased to see that Vivienne felt the same way about their growing friendship. Vivienne silently celebrated in her mind, thinking, "Yes, hearing him say my name feels so good. The way he pronounces, it gives me the motivation to keep going." "It's getting late now, we should head to bed." "Good night, Sir Milo," Vivienne cheerfully bid her farewell. "Good night, Lady Vivienne," Milo replied with a smile. "I just realized something," Vivienne thought. "Sir Milo is my first friend here." Vivienne felt really happy because she had been scared to make friends after staying alone for a long time. Now, with a new friend, she couldn't help but feel excited. That night, Vivienne went to sleep with a big smile on her face. Chapter 5. It's a sword tournament. I don't want anyone to get accidentally killed, so I'll need to make a rule to use wooden swords, Vivienne pondered, her mind consumed by the upcoming project. But wait, wouldn't that make the knights look less impressive? Oh no, the dilemma between aesthetics and safety. Lady Vivienne, Milo's voice interrupted Vivienne's thoughts. "Is there something I can help you with, Sir Milo?" Vivienne inquired. "I would like to know how the event is progressing, as we need to start announcing it soon. The knights also need time to prepare," Milo requested. "Here are all the details I have written down so far." Vivienne handed Milo the paper to review. "The budget looks fine, and the location you've chosen is suitable. Having the tournament in 2 months is fitting. Why did you decide to use wooden swords?" Milo asked. "I was worried that someone might get seriously hurt or even killed if real swords were used. But if you prefer them to use real swords, I can change that," Vivienne replied. "That's true. Using wooden swords is safer, especially since this tournament isn't meant to be too intense," Milo agreed. "Is there anything else I should add?" Vivienne inquired. "I don't think so. Oh, I heard that you took sword classes before." "Do you plan to participate in the tournament?" Milo asked. "I won't be participating. I learned sword fighting for self-defense purposes only, Vivienne answered. How about you, Sir Milo? Are you interested in taking part? I'm not skilled with the sword. I prefer using a bow and standing at the back during fights, Milo explained. Milo's choice of weapon surprised Vivienne. In most isekai stories, swords tend to take center stage, so the idea of someone using a bow felt unusual to her. However, that didn't stop Vivienne's imagination from running wild as she pictured Milo holding the bow, poised to shoot arrows straight into people's hearts like Cupid. I'm excited to witness Sir Milo's skill with the bow someday, Vivienne expressed eagerly. Likewise, I'm curious to see Lady Vivienne's swordsmanship, Milo replied. Bang. Greetings, Your Highness, the Crown Prince, Vivienne and Milo said in unison. Vivienne quickly retrieved a snack from her desk and handed it to the Crown Prince, while Milo gathered all the documents requiring the Crown Prince's approval. Please have this chocolate to improve your mood. As for the search, we have yet to find her. The only remaining location is the north, Vivienne reported. Please sign here, here, and here, Milo instructed the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince gazed at the chocolate for a moment and ultimately it seemed to alleviate his irritability. Without thoroughly examining the documents, he stamped them as usual. Don't think you can hide from me forever, the Crown Prince warned, his words aimed at no one in particular. He left without causing any damage this time, but his departure carried an implicit threat. Vivienne couldn't help but ponder the recent encounter. Was that supposed to be a thrilling scene, she wondered. Being in the same location as him just made him appear like a deranged person talking to himself. Perhaps if it were written in a book or depicted in illustrations, it would have had a more captivating effect. Once they were certain the Crown Prince was truly gone, both secretaries sighed with relief. I never considered offering snacks to His Highness before. Now we won't have to keep changing the door. It's a brilliant idea, Lady Vivienne, Milo praised. Just as we discussed earlier, since His Highness is like a 5-year-old, the best way to calm a child is by giving them snacks, Vivienne proudly remarked. The chocolate will serve as the Crown Prince's temporary tranquilizer. Once the female lead appears, we won't need to rely on chocolate anymore, Vivienne thought to herself. From that day forward, Milo and Vivienne made it a habit to keep chocolate readily available whenever the Crown Prince barged into the room. 2 months later. Tournament day. Tournament day, Vivienne chanted excitedly in her head. I'll finally get to see hot guys swinging swords. Come on, Isekai world, don't disappoint me now. Knights are known for their gathering of attractive men. Although Sir Milo is handsome too, a girl needs some fresh eye candy once in a while. Vivienne. Over here, Vivienne's mother waved her hand excitedly, beckoning her to come sit next to her. It was no surprise to see both her parents at the tournament, as her younger brother was participating. Vivienne was already confident that her brother would emerge as the winner, with his striking black hair and eyes. While many were placing their bets on well-known knights, Vivienne had wagered all her coins on her brother's victory. These people are foolish. Can't they see how handsome my brother is? He even has the looks of a male lead. Well, if the Crown Prince were competing, my brother might have a tough time, but since he isn't, victory is guaranteed. I'm just here to admire handsome men, Vivienne thought as she prepared her binoculars and scanned the stadium for potential candidates. As expected, seeing Milo's and my family's faces every day has spoiled me. Everyone else looks plain now. Disappointed by the lack of attractive men, Vivienne's anticipation shifted solely to the money she would earn from her bet on her brother's victory. Every time Leopold stepped onto the stage, prepared to face his opponent, the 3 family members would rise from their seats and cheer for him with great enthusiasm. The audience would give them peculiar looks each time it happened, but Leopold remained unfazed. He would beam a bright smile and wave back, acknowledging their cheers and letting them know that he had heard them loud and clear. When Vivienne organized the tournament, she anticipated it would span a week. However, to her surprise, her younger brother's exceptional sword skills allowed him to swiftly defeat his opponents in under a minute. As a result, several matches had to be rescheduled earlier than planned, leading to a shift in the entire schedule. Consequently, it took only 3 days for the final match to occur. Vivienne was aware of her brother's swordsmanship prowess, but she never expected him to be so extraordinary that he would dispatch a highly skilled knight in a mere minute. The other matches typically lasted around 15 minutes, so Vivienne didn't even have the chance to experience the excitement or nervousness that usually accompanies supporting a loved one in a tournament. As the tournament reached its final match, the Emperor and the Crown Prince made their grand entrance to witness the ultimate showdown. Leopold, unfazed by the presence of royalty, remained composed and calm. The Ravenswood family, undeterred by the strange gazes from the royal family, continued to cheer and applaud with unwavering enthusiasm. As Milo stood beside the Crown Prince, he couldn't help but notice how excited the Ravenswood family was. Witnessing Vivienne's enthusiastic cheering, a fond smile formed on Milo's lips as he found her really adorable. The final match turned out to be incredibly brief, much like all the previous encounters Leopold had experienced. In a jaw-dropping display of skill, it took him a mere 2 minutes to defeat the Empire's most formidable knight. Leopold's exceptional talent seemed to know no bounds, leaving spectators in awe and admiration. It came as no surprise to the Ravenswood family when Leopold secured the first-place position, but their cheers echoed throughout the arena nonetheless. Vivienne's excitement overflowed as she found herself now enriched with winnings, planning to present her share to Leopold later as a token of celebration. The royal family sat there, utterly bewildered by the sight before them. Traditionally, the final match was a grueling, intense battle that would last far longer than a mere 2 minutes. But this time, before their seats had even warmed beneath them, they found themselves having to rise and crown the victor. The abruptness of it all left them in a state of disbelief, their expectations shattered as they struggled to comprehend what had just transpired. The Emperor gathered his composure, a regal air emanating from him, as he gracefully made his way towards the stage. Behind him, Sir Milo followed closely, holding the winner's cape with utmost reverence. The hushed anticipation in the air grew palpable, as the Emperor's steps echoed with authority, setting the stage for the grand moment that was about to unfold. Leopold Ravenswood, congratulations on your triumphant victory in this year's tournament, proclaimed the Emperor, extending his commendations. In recognition of your outstanding skill and prowess, we bestow upon you the prestigious title of the Empire's best knight for this year. With those words, the Emperor gracefully draped a cape over Leopold's shoulders, symbolizing his status as the esteemed champion. With the tournament concluded successfully, a wave of relief washed over Vivienne, knowing that the event she was in charge of had proceeded without a hitch. Vivienne, excellent job on organizing the tournament today, the Emperor approached her, though the Crown Prince was conspicuously absent. I appreciate your kind words, Your Majesty, Vivienne replied, bowing respectfully. Your brother showcased remarkable swordsmanship skills. You must be immensely proud of him, the Emperor remarked. Yes, indeed. I plan to treat my brother to a grand feast later today, Vivienne beamed. Take the remainder of today and tomorrow off, as you have truly earned it. Embrace this opportunity to cherish precious moments with your loved ones. I assure you the Crown Prince shall not object, isn't that right, Alfred? The Emperor kindly proposed. Alfred promptly emerged and affirmed, Indeed, Your Majesty. I shall handle everything with that. He vanished once more. Thank you very much for your graciousness, Your Majesty, Vivienne expressed her gratitude to the Emperor. As the Emperor departed, Vivienne couldn't contain her joy, leaping with excitement before hastening to join her family in celebrating her brother's victory. It was the first time in months that she returned home and enjoyed precious moments with her loved ones. Somewhere else. Ava, I heard you visited the capital. How was your time there? An elderly lady called out to a woman with vibrant pink hair and captivating blue eyes. The capital is as grand as ever, bustling with people selling all sorts of marvelous things, Ava replied. Today I'd love to have my usual stew, Mrs. Charlotte. You seem to be in high spirits. Did something positive occur during your time in the capital, Mrs. Charlotte inquired slyly. I'm relieved to say that the individuals who once caused me harm are no longer in the capital, which means I can finally step out of the shadows, Ava replied with a smile. That's truly wonderful news. I shall prepare a delectable feast to commemorate your newfound freedom, Mrs. Charlotte declared. As she disappeared into the kitchen, Ava's smile gradually transformed into a frown, her countenance revealing a hint of concern. Who was responsible for the tragedy that took my entire family? When I inquired, people only spoke of vague accusations, claiming that my family had committed treason against the royal family. Ava contemplated, her thoughts consumed by the lingering mystery. But now, I no longer need to fear being recognized. Maybe it's time for me to go back to the capital, search for employment, and say goodbye to the northern region. Ava's mind raced with possibilities and plans, envisioning a future where she could build a new life. "Here you go, my special beef stew, Mrs. Charlotte proclaimed, placing the dish before Ava with a sense of pride. "Thank you for the delicious meal." Ava expressed her gratitude with a warm smile and began to savor each mouthful. Little did she know that her peaceful and calm life was about to be disrupted by an approaching wave of turmoil and disorder.